All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Star Apartments. My name is Mike Alvidres. I am the CEO of the Skid Row Housing Trust, the developer, owner, and operator of the Star Apartments and our other 26 buildings, and this is my support team behind me. You know, we're very proud and happy to host this event today. We've been working at ending homelessness in the downtown area for about 26 years now. A couple of things are important about what we do. It's called permanent supportive housing, and that is that it works and it saves money. And that is incredibly important as we look toward ending homelessness for many thousands of Californians up and down the state. With our community partners, some of whom are here today, we know we can make more housing available for special needs homeless folks, particularly those that are struggling with mental illness. And I am so happy that we have this contingent of folks from the California State Senate here today to announce some of the new programs and resources that will be coming down the pike in the future to help us end homelessness in California once and for all. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, the President Pro Tem of the California State Senate, Senator Kevin De Leon.
Thank you so very much, Mike, and good morning. Good morning to each and every one of you. I am very proud to stand here today with my colleagues in the Senate, as well as our good friends from the County Board of Supervisors of Los Angeles and the California State Assembly, and just as importantly, the advocates, to show a strong commitment from the legislature to empower local governments in coping with homelessness, especially helping the homeless with mental illnesses. Homelessness in California is a sad reminder of the stratified society that we live in. We see people living on the streets we walk every day. We see them in our parks, we see them under our freeway overpasses, we see them at the Los Angeles River and elsewhere. California has the nation's largest homeless population, with over 114,000 people living without shelter. Los Angeles, my hometown city, has the unfortunate distinction of being the country's homeless capital. This strategic proposal that we are moving forward on the first day of the legislative session will provide many homeless Californians with a key to health and hope. Up in the state capitol, the Senate is focused on policies that lift up all Californians, especially the least fortunate and the most vulnerable among us. For a homeless person living without shelter, the key to a home could very well open a future that holds hope for restored health, restored mental health, and a successful bringing them back into society. Homelessness, and let me underscore and emphasize the following, because it's very important. Homelessness is not just a social issue that impacts a handful of distressed communities or major urban centers. It is a fundamental economic, public health, public safety, and quality of life issue that negatively impacts families, businesses, cities, and counties in every part of California. Now, I know this from personal experience because I've had very close family members who have faced homelessness themselves. This bipartisan coalition of members from the California State Senate today is introducing a comprehensive and first of its kind, quote, "No Place Like Home" initiative to help local communities in preventing and addressing homelessness. The proposal is multi-pronged, attacking homelessness with immediate and longer-term resources, while creatively, and I'm going to underscore, creatively leveraging existing local, state, and federal dollars to boost efforts on the ground. Now, there are many local programs that are very successful in housing and treating and transitioning chronically homeless clients back into society. They just need some extra help to help reach more people. The proposal includes the legal repurposing of the Prop 63 dollars to create a $2 billion revenue bond. I'll underscore one more time. The proposal that we're announcing here today, in a bipartisan fashion, Republicans as well as Democrats together, is a repurposing of Prop 63. We're leveraging $2 billion for a revenue bond to construct permanent supportive housing for chronically homeless persons with mental illness. It also proposes $200 million from the general fund, spanned over 4 years, to provide supportive housing in the shorter term while the permanent housing is constructed or rehabilitated. The proposal increases access to programs that provide income supports for the aged, the blind, as well as the disabled, the poor who cannot work. With this budget proposal, the state will help secure progress on tackling homelessness. Now, coming off the holiday season, I can think of no better way to start the legislative session than here focus on lifting those without voices in our political process. Here we are, all of us. Hilda Solis, this fine group of bipartisan colleagues in the California State Senate, representation from the State Assembly, advocates in the audience here today. Here we are today, in Skid Row, in Los Angeles, not up in the state capitol, with a bipartisan group doing everything possible to make a serious effort to take care of Californians who are struggling the most. I want to thank the tireless advocates and organizations who are committed every day to helping the homeless. Your work inspires us. You give us the motivation, and you provide leadership. Political leadership won't be the panacea, but we can help. And that's what we tend to do. We're your partners, and we value the role that you play. So we thank you, and once again, we are here to help. Thank you. Now, very quickly, I'm just going to share a few words in Spanish, and we're going to go down our list of speakers who are here today. Buenos días. Estoy muy orgulloso de estar aquí con ustedes, con mis colegas de la legislatura y los defensores comunitarios, para mostrar un fuerte compromiso del Estado para potenciar a los gobiernos locales que se enfrentan ante la comunidad desamparada, especialmente para ayudar a los desamparados con enfermedades mentales. El estar desamparado en California es un triste recuerdo de la economía, de estratos sociales en la que vivimos. La realidad es que somos la séptima potencia mundial, pero en realidad existen más de 114,000 desamparados en el estado de California. Y la ciudad de Los Ángeles es la capital de los desamparados a lo largo y ancho de este gran país. Este presupuesto estratégico que estamos ahora avanzando es en el primer día de la sesión legislativa. Tiene el propósito de proveer a muchos californianos desamparados con una llave hacia la salud y la esperanza. Estamos aquí, demócratas igual como republicanos del Senado, para hacer todo lo posible para avanzar estas políticas públicas, para hacer todo lo posible para mejorar la condición humana de los desamparados, particularmente aquellos con enfermedades mentales. Son seres humanos que merecen dignidad y respeto. Por eso yo les quiero dar las gracias. Gracias a cada uno de ustedes. Gracias. We got a long list here, but it's a list that will be brief, and then we'll open it to Q&A. It's my pleasure to bring to the microphone the former President Pro Tem. He's the President Pro Tem Emeritus of the California State Senate. He's also the founder of the Steinberg Institute, and he's been a moral and political force when it comes to homelessness as well as mental illness, and he is the chief architect of Prop 63. That is Mr. President Pro Tem Emeritus, Darrell Steinberg.
Thank you very much, Pro Tem de Leon, I cannot express enough my gratitude to you for choosing to make this the first issue you raise for the 2016 legislative session. You don't have to do it, but I think it speaks volumes about your leadership and what you believe is important for our state. To you and your colleagues, thank you very, very much. I thank the Senate. It makes me even more proud that I used to be part of this great institution. This is the boldest proposal to reduce homelessness in a generation, if not longer. I did author Proposition 63, the Mental Health Services Act, in 2004. We campaigned on a pledge to use these dollars to help those with mental illness on our streets. Homelessness is a humanitarian issue. It is also a preeminent economic development and public safety issue. While thousands of people are in fact getting help under the Mental Health Services Act, it is time for the state to repurpose some of these dollars to directly benefit the most visible examples of untreated mental illness, those who are mentally ill and homeless. Homelessness does not have to be hopelessness. We know what works. Intensive outreach, permanent housing coupled with whatever services it takes to help people reclaim their lives. Thousands have benefited from this approach under Prop 63 and through other state or federal funds. But the problem is we haven't created nearly enough hard capital to build or retrofit sufficient housing to meet the need for permanence. Here is California's opportunity through Senator De Leon and the legislature's leadership. No new taxes. Use an existing fund in a legal, dynamic, and creative way. 7% creates $2 billion. $2 billion can be leveraged to generate $10 billion or more for housing. Thank you. Mr. Pro Tem, you and your colleagues today send a clear message. This social condition called chronic homelessness does not have to be our reality. Californians are compassionate. We no longer have to be numb and shrug our shoulders and say there is nothing we can do. For these people, our veterans and family members and people who were once kids, and many had productive lives before getting sick, thank you on behalf of untold numbers of people who, because of your work, will not be forgotten nor forsaken. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pro Tem, and thank you very much for your leadership. It is still ongoing, and we're looking forward to the continued efforts to collaborate and work together on issues that we both champion. Next speaker is the chairwoman of the County Board of Supervisors of Los Angeles. She's a former Honorable Secretary of Labor of the United States of America. That is the Honorable Hilda Solis.
Thank you. I simply want to say that the work that's happening can't be done alone. Not by one entity, not by one single individual. It's so delightful to see that the first step that the legislature is taking on behalf of our Senate leadership and our Assembly members, as well as former members, is to say and step out that we are going to end homelessness and do it in a manner that will provide for sufficient mental health supportive services. Because what I've learned in my short term now as board member of the county and chairwoman is that it is about mental health attention and services, wraparound services, and it takes a lot of funds and support for that. But the $2 billion that will be making its way, and hopefully a good chunk will come here to Los Angeles, since we have the auspicious reputation of having at least 44,000 homeless in our last count that live here. We need to do more, and I'm delighted to join with our Senate members as well as all of you and the county. The county took bold action this year as well, making available over $100 million to begin to address the issue of homelessness and everything else that affects our county and our city. Thank you so much. It's great to be here, and I'm glad that you chose Skid Row, Los Angeles, to have this press event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Solis. Next speaker we have is the former leader of the Republicans, the California State Senate. He's been a wonderful colleague, a very constructive colleague, very solutions-oriented colleague in the California State Senate. That is Senator Bob Huff.
It's a pleasure to be here today because we're trying to do something about a persistent problem. And as you go around LA County, as you do the state, you find homeless everywhere, but for some reason they're concentrated here. And I know people ask me, what are we doing about it? Well, this is part of it, but it's not all of it. Certainly $2 billion for capital projects to help house them, and facilities such as we're in today will go a long way, but we also need to find out why is it persistent and why is it growing? 12% growth year over year, which is unsustainable. We can't just deal with this by sticking our head in the sand. So it's great to be here with my colleagues. I think this is a very creative approach to repurpose the Prop 63 funds in a way that will not only meet the intent of what the funds were for, but it helps hit a real thorny issue in our society. I want to thank Pro Tem De Leon, Senator Steinberg. Well, you're still a senator. Always keep your highest title, right? But, you know, we appreciate all the work going into this. This is just the beginning. We have a year to get this implemented, or at least through the budget cycle. But thank you, Kevin, for all you're doing in this.
Now we're going to have the colleagues from the California State Senate as well as the Assembly, colleagues that ask this be as brief so we can get to Q&A. That is Senator from the West Side, who is also facing issues in Venice and Santa Monica as well. That is Senator Ben Allen. Senator Ben Allen.
Just wanted to take a second to be here. This is an issue that's of great importance in my district as well. We've got the communities of Hollywood and Venice, Santa Monica that have been struggling with homeless issues for a long time. And I just want to say how exciting it is to be part of, I'm feeling momentum, I'm feeling effort. The city of Los Angeles, the county of Los Angeles, now the state of California coming in with such a momentous proposal that is really going to get us into a new place in terms of funding for Housing First, which we know works, And I also want to just throw in a word for a bill that Senator Holly Mitchell will be talking about in a second, a very special bill that will create a trust fund that will allow for folks to allow for the collection of outside funding relating to housing for the homeless, and also a special task force that will create more leadership in this issue as we learn from the examples of Utah and other states that have done such an incredible job of getting their homeless folks into housing, into support, and ending homelessness as we know it. So this is an incredibly exciting effort, and I just want to say how grateful I am to the leadership of President Steinberg and President De Leon, who have taken on this issue, who have understood this special moment, and it's an honor to be part of this effort. Thank you so much.
Next up, we have the chair of the Health Committee. That is Senator Ed Hernandez. Ed Hernandez.
Good morning, everyone. Let me first start off by thanking all of you for being here, but also let me take this opportunity to thank the Pro Tem for his leadership on this, also the former President Pro Tem Darrell Steinberg for authoring the Prop 63, and of course our County Board of Supervisor, my colleagues in the Senate and the Assembly. And it's really, really important that we understand that this is a social issue that we need to deal with, and this is a bold initiative that we're going to be taking forward to be able to address this issue. But the perspective and the lens that I'm going to be looking at is through that of the chair of the Senate Health Committee. We are going to be working on a lot of initiatives this year and a lot of hearings on not only mental health, but the distribution problem we have with providers. Because as you know, mental health plays a huge role in homelessness. I'm going to be working with the Pro Tem's office as well as the former Pro Tem's himself to see how we're going to be addressing that issue, to make sure we can get all of these individuals to get mental health services, but more importantly to get housing, and to make sure that they get resources available to help them as well. So thank you very much for having me this morning. Appreciate it.
Next up, we have a very strong, powerful woman. She has been a champion, a strong voice for the vulnerable throughout the state of California, particularly single mothers and Children, and that is Senator Holly Mitchell. Senator Holly Mitchell.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Mr. Pro Tem, Madam Supervisor, there's a current song out. I'm a mother of a teenager, so it's imperative in that role that I stay hip and current. And there's a current song out where the lyric is, I'm feeling some kind of way. And my teenager kept trying to explain to me what that meant, to feel some kind of way. And it occurred to me when I got here today, first of all, welcome to the 30th Senate District. When I realized that standing with you here today, I'm standing in the shadows of the Roslyn Hotel. And in 1987, as a young choral fellow, I spent 3 weeks doing a door-to-door survey at the Roslyn Hotel over 30 years ago. And the faces of the women and children who were living there because they had no option in the City of Angels, I will never forget. And so I'm feeling some kind of way because now here in 2016, I get to stand here as a member of a body who is acknowledging their reality and stepping up in a meaningful way to do something about it. And so that makes me feel some kind of way. It makes me feel some kind of way. And so I'm proud to, on behalf of the Senate, lead the charge on the bill that Senator Allen talked about, where we're really wanting to look at models across the country that are working, It's commonly known as the Utah model, where a state, albeit a fraction of the size of California, a fraction of the size of LA County, took major steps in over a 10-year period, in effect, ended their chronic homeless population. We can do that with leadership like those standing behind me, at the state level, at the county level, with all of us standing arm in arm with you, the advocates, you, the residents of this beautiful facility, we can make a meaningful difference. And we can all feel some kind of way. Because as I remember the faces of those women and children, as I spend time at the Downtown Women's Center, I am clear what it means to be a homeless woman in this county, what it means to be a homeless mother trying to provide for your kids and get them to school with no place to lay their heads or to bathe every day. These are deep, very real, brass tacks issues that we have to confront as Angelenos and make a significant difference. So in 30 years from now, I won't be standing in the shadows of the Roslyn Hotel thinking, what difference did I make as a state senator or as an Angeleno? So I want us all to be proud of this opportunity and put our shoulder to the grindstone and move forward. As Ben said, the bill will do several things in the state of California. It will provide resources, Madam Supervisor. It will create a coordinating committee so we can you imagine government coordinating amongst itself to really try to make sure that all of the state agencies in health, Senator Hernandez, in social services and mental health are all keeping their eye on a common goal. And with that, we'll have success. I'm proud to stand here and proud of the work that we'll be able to do as a united force. Thank you.
Next up, we have the chair of the Appropriations Committee of the Senate. That is Senator Ricardo Lara. Ricardo Lara.
Thank you. Good morning. It's great to be here. Just to lend my voice to the great work that is being done in the State Senate with the tremendous leadership of our Pro Tem, Kevin De Leon, and our former Pro Tem, Darrell Steinberg. And to also just remind folks of the thousands and thousands of homeless youth, in particularly our LGBT youth, who happen to have also be of color, who are the largest number of homeless youth in our county and throughout our state. It is despicable that in the richest state, that is the state of California, that just last night, thousands of Californians laid their tired bodies on a sidewalk or on a cardboard. That can no longer happen. That is so immoral. And we need to do what we can to change that. And I'm blessed and honored to serve in this state Senate where we're finally going to do something about this. Thank you.
We're almost there, folks. Next, we have from down south, Orange County. Spent quite a few years dealing with the issue of homelessness in Orange County. that is former County Board Supervisor, now member of the State Senate, Mr. John Morlock. John Morlock.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. It's nice to drive up to LA and be in your county. The traffic was accommodating. Got here a little early. Had the pleasure of spending time with Herb Smith, the president CEO of the Los Angeles Mission. Gave us a great tour of his facility. So thank you, Herb, for the time. It was a tragic death of a homeless young man in Fullerton, in my county, with an incident with the Fullerton Police Department. His name was Kelly Thomas. And shortly afterwards, parents came to the Board of Supervisors where I served and said, why don't you adopt Laura's Law? So we first asked, what's Laura's Law? And then we said, this is a bill that, or this is a bill that was passed 12 years ago that could help homeless people that are mentally ill. We could not afford to do it. We were just coming out of the recession. So a Republican supervisor meets with a Democratic Senate Pro Tem and Darrell Steinberg and says, what can we do to repurpose a little bit of Prop 63 to fund Laura's Law? And Darrell Steinberg put together Senate Bill 585, and it was approved by the Senate and the Assembly, signed by the governor, and we were the second county after Nevada to adopt Laura's Law. So I'm so excited to be here with you, Darrell, just to say thank you publicly on behalf of Orange County for allowing us to do that. And I am just so excited that you're looking at repurposing a little bit more so we can address key issues. We have in Orange County too many mentally ill people that show up for psychiatric care in our emergency rooms, and we're working on something for that this year too. I'll be talking to you about, but what can we do to get more beds? And this is exciting. As a Republican, I want to try as best as I can to help out Kevin DeLeon, the world famous, and craft great legislation that we can all support. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John. I think. No. Thank you, John. Next up is we have a senator all the way from Northern California. Just come down from Hillsburg in Sonoma County. That is Mr. Mike McGuire. Senator Mike McGuire.
Well, good morning. First of all, want to say thank you to Mr. De Leon for his leadership and for bringing this bipartisan coalition together this morning. It doesn't happen enough, and it takes true leadership. Mr. De Leon, thank you so much, along with Mr. Steinberg for all of your early work. I represent some of the smallest counties and rural communities in California, from the Golden Gate Bridge to the Oregon border. And while we are in downtown LA today, and there is great need for resources here on Skid Row, the need for housing and shelter and services stretches far beyond LA's busy streets. In many of the communities of the North Coast, there's a crisis every day with little or no resources to turn to. Mendocino County, as an example, has the second highest rate of homelessness in America, and that's according to the Alliance to End Homelessness. Over the last 2 years, 0 state dollars has been invested in Mendocino County, or any county north of Sonoma for that matter, to help some of our poorest communities combat homelessness and bring forward emergency shelter. To make matters worse, county jails and local emergency rooms have become the only resource many communities have to turn to. And as we know, that does not work, and it's simply unacceptable. We know this is not a solution that will be successful for the individual, our state, and it's been growing since the state of California started closing mental health facilities in the 1960s. Homelessness and mental health knows no borders or political party affiliations. And I'm grateful, Mr. Pro Tem, for your incredible work, and I look forward to working with this bipartisan coalition to move this plan forward. Thank you so much.
Okay, we have just one more speaker, Assemblymember Miguel Santiago, and then we just have one resident of this of the resident ambassador of Skid Row. Next up, we have Assemblymember Miguel Santiago. Miguel Santiago.
Thank you, Senator Pro Tem, and welcome to everybody to the 53rd Assembly District, which I represent, that includes the downtown Los Angeles area, the third poorest district in the state of California, and also represent Skid Row. And in no place in California do we see the impact of homelessness grow every single day like we do in my district, in downtown Los Angeles. This district sees every day the homeless population grow, and the resources continue to diminish every day. The housing cost continues to increase, and the mental health care services also decrease, and we feel it in downtown Los Angeles. Up and down Skid Row, you no longer see what you would have assumed was normal, a person walking down the street who is homeless, but now you're starting to see families, you're starting to see mothers with small kids, oftentimes infants, out in the cold who are hungry. And this is heartbreaking. It tears us apart to be able to see this, and it's now become almost the norm, and we've got to do something about it. The repurposing of Prop 63 is the most aggressive effort that we're going to see in the state of California. As an Assembly member, I'm proud to be supportive of the Senate's plan to repurpose Prop 63 and the legislative package to attack homelessness. Thank you, Senator Pro Tem, for the aggressive effort to combat homelessness. Y para los medios de comunicación en español, este plan es el más agresivo que vamos a ver en el estado de California y aquí también en Los Ángeles para combatir los desamparados. Esto es una crisis que estamos viendo aquí en el estado de California y este es un principio para atacar ese crimen que vemos ahí en las calles de gente desamparada. Muchas gracias por participar ahora los medios de comunicación en español y muchas gracias al senador pro tem, Kevin de León. Gracias.
Gracias, Miguel. Last person we have is the resident ambassador of Skid Row, and that is Teresa Winkler. Teresa, welcome. Come on up, Teresa.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I really want to say, my voice is loud enough anyway. So I'd really like to say thank you for all the work that you're doing, because and your team, because almost 10 years ago, I was homeless. I had been homeless most of my life, drug addict, prostitute, all that ugly stuff. And I got tired of being tired, and I didn't know where to turn to. Went in and out of the jails, costing taxpayers a lot of money. In and out of hospitals, costing taxpayers a lot of money. Because it costs a lot of money for you to take care of me when I sign a piece of paper saying I don't want medical help. Well, who's going to pay the ambulance driver? I'm not. I ain't got no money. But almost 7 years ago, I went to Skid Row Housing Trust, their main office, and I signed up. And I was housed about 2 months later, and my whole life has changed. I've been clean and sober for almost 10 years. Hey! I didn't even think it would be 10 minutes, okay? The day after my 7th year of recovery, I went to Washington, D.C., to the Senate committee, and I sat there, and I've got George Washington here, I got Benjamin over here, and I got the Senate committee in front of me, and I'm crying like a baby, and the man's asking me, "Why are you crying?" I said, "Well, 7 years ago, if you asked me or told me I would be doing this, I would have asked you for some of that dope you were smoking." And he started laughing. I said, "No, I'm serious, because yesterday was my recovery birthday." And I'm proud to say that by having housing, my life has given me purpose. I never knew I suffered from mental illness. Not really. But really, I never understood mental illness. And today I'm able to see my doctors, I'm able to get mental health, medical help, all of that I need by having a home. And today I'm married and have a purpose in life, which is, this is my purpose, to speak to you about let's get these people out the street. It's not fun for a woman, especially a woman, to lay in the dirt. Okay? I seen a little girl here today. I was that little girl. I don't want that little girl to become me. Okay? That hurts. Okay? I'm a strong woman today, and I'm able to say, we can do this. All we got to do is stop shrugging our shoulders. Oh, I can't do nothing. Yes, we can. We can fight this. All we got to do is put the nose to the grindstone. My name is Teresa Winkler.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Teresa. Thank you. And I just want you to know that we all have our trials and tribulations. We all have our ups and downs, and our past doesn't define who we are, present or future. So you inspire us. So let's get up for Teresa, everybody. You inspire. Should we do some Q&A? Daryl, you want to let's do some Q&A? Couple questions, whatever they may be. The importance of housing, first and foremost, what we have witnessed has been a sort of a hodgepodge of programs and services, not just here locally, but throughout the state of California. The fact that we have so many homelessness persons on our streets throughout the state, particularly those with mental illnesses, we do believe strongly in the California State Senate. Senator Holly Mitchell she made a reference to a bill a few moments ago that our philosophy is housing first, that we need to stabilize those individuals with mental illnesses first and foremost. Once we stabilize them, then we can do the wraparound services simultaneously, whether it's mental health, whether it's narcotics addiction, whether it is alcohol addiction, whether it's all of the above, manic depression, bipolar, schizophrenia. Deal with the issues that sometimes for some folks it's going to be a lifelong journey, but first and foremost, we have to stabilize them, and we have to do it through housing, first and foremost. And that's why we think we have a really creative plan that doesn't cost money from the general fund, nor does it tax individuals above and beyond the current rate today. Using monies wisely, intelligently, leveraging dollars from $2 billion, from 63, perhaps to $5 to $10 billion that we can securitize over the course of a couple decades to build a physical capacity, the infrastructure that's sorely needed. Yeah. Very good question. I'm not going to give you too many specifics on that. We have between now and June of this year. Our idea is to move this as a budget priority for the California State Senate. Therefore, we'll enter negotiations with the Assembly as well as the Governor, Governor Jerry Brown. Between now and June, we'll be having hearings, not just in the state capitol, but throughout the state, and especially back home here in Skid Row, of distribution of dollars. We'll be working very closely with our colleagues here, former State Senator Ilda Solis, as well as Mark Ridley Thomas and Sheila Kuehl and others, on the distribution formulas, matching, leveraging, what the criteria should be. You know, who's first and foremost ready in the queue to secure and draw down on those dollars with regards to efficiency, permitting processes, dealing with issues in local backyards, such as NIMBYism. We don't want this built in our backyard. We don't want this here. We got to deal with this issue first and foremost, and that's why we're here collectively to provide that leadership. The money allocation would be probably we are in 2017, beginning of 2017, January 1st. Prop 63, well, Daryl, this is going to come up here.
Prop 63, in my view, and I have a little bias here, has been a great success. 58 counties, including Los Angeles County, have received almost $13 billion since the passage in 2004. A large share of the money is being used for what we call full-service partnerships. This is whatever it takes for people with most severe mental illness, mental health treatment, substance abuse treatment, often housing, but some of the housing is temporary in nature. There has been money, $400 million out of Prop 63, already invested in permanent housing that has led to the development of over 2,000 units throughout California. The problem is a structural one, that the money is distributed to 58 counties, 1.8 billion to 58 counties, and it's spread, in my view, a little too thin. We need to have some statewide approaches. And this is what is so important about Senator De Leon and the legislature's leadership here. It says that housing first is a statewide policy. And it also recognizes that Prop 63 does not have a sunset date. It reoccurs every year. So it is perfect for bonding against. You take 7%, we talk about repurposing, 93% will continue to go to services and prevention and early intervention. You take 7% and you bond against it, dedicate that for 15 or 30 years, bond against it, and at current interest rates, you create a $2 billion capital fund for permanent supportive housing. And that, again, can be leveraged, as Senator De Leon said, 4 or 5 or 6 to 1. This, in the world of politics and government, is a no-brainer. Thank you.
Any other questions? If I see none. Let's wait for this siren to go by. Did I get that? Okay, I'm sorry. Can you say it one more time? Outside voice. We believe that it is possible to construct between 10,000 and 14,000 units of housing, possibly more, depending on how successful we are with the first $2 billion and the leveraging component. If we can leverage it before we securitize it, going to the market, we believe we can do at minimum 10 to 14,000, possibly even more throughout the state. If it's successful, then we have the option of actually going back and doing more, not just 7% off the top of 63, or going a little deeper. The criteria right now is to focus and attack the most chronically ill homeless persons throughout the state of California. So obviously, yes, individuals with a mental illness component that are homeless. But given the fact that, let me just say this, and this is my own personal commentary right now, we'll have many months to receive input from stakeholders throughout the state. You can be a single mother who just broke off her relationship, that you were a victim of domestic violence, and you have 2 or 3 children, and you just lost your job, and you have nowhere to go, and you've been couch surfing with relatives as well as close friends, and you got to the end of your rope, and you have nowhere else to go. And then you become very depressed, and then that depression has a really debilitating impact on you as a woman, as a single mother. So we're going to work with the county as we deal with definitions and criteria of mentally illnesses that could be impacted positively with this proposal right there. So we have quite a few months that are before us, between now and June, so we can work out that criteria. But lastly, I just want to say to all the colleagues here, to the members of the Senate, as well as to Ilo Solis, to my Republican colleagues, to Assemblymember Miguel Santiago, and especially to my very good friend, the Senate Pro Tem Emeritus, Mr. Darrell Steinberg, and to all the advocates here. I think I can say this without any sense of hyperbole, but this is the boldest, most far-reaching, progressive initiative of its kind in the state to deal with this issue of homelessness. So I'm very proud to stand with my colleagues as we move forward. And I will take one last question right there. Well, we're going to let the process, it's going to be competitive grants, therefore, by nature, the expectation probably is that between all the various counties, we had Mike McGuire just talk about a more rural county in Sonoma. They have homelessness folks in Sonoma County. We have the largest per capita in LA County. So there is an expectation that you know, a good portion of that money will be coming to Los Angeles County. No question about it, because this is the epicenter of homelessness throughout the country. That's why we're going to work with county governments, with local governments, with city, to make sure that when they apply, that they're ready in the queue, that they have money to leverage current dollars, especially with $63, you know, so we can draw down on those dollars as quickly as possible. There'll be competitive grants. So obviously local governments who have their act together, will be the winners. So that will provide a very large incentive for local governments throughout the state to get ready to program and get ready for this money. Last question. SSI, SSP. We don't, that's part of the package. That's part of the package. We don't have a dollar figure as of yet. That's going to be contingent on budget negotiations with the governor himself. I am committed, as well as my colleagues, to an increase in SSI, SSP, because it deals with the elderly, the aged, and the disabled, the most vulnerable that are on the cusp of perhaps themselves becoming homeless in the immediate and near future. These are individuals who are, my aunt, she receives $500. Over the Christmas break, I thought she was receiving $1,000 from SSI, SSP. To my erroneous assumption, she's receiving only $500 from SSI, SSP. So these are folks who really do need a boost if we're going to keep them off the homeless rolls. So with that, I want to thank you very much. All folks up here are available for any individual interviews, and we thank, what? And we have also my budget director, Craig Cornett, here too with any technical aspects. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. Gracias.
I'm going to go talk to her to talk about the CalWorks piece. That's in there too.
Go, girl.